awesome. I bought the I think it was like the Megan Street
I was gonna
Series
say, yeah, it
ones.
was the Megan ones,
They were
yeah,
like
right.
$800.
Yeah.
I fucking loved them.
Yeah,
loved
yeah.
them. Loved them. They were fucking great, dude.
Yeah.
Because they had the adjustability of the height. I could make the height high, low, whatever I want it to be,
No.
and separately, I could adjust the like the stiffness of it.
Exactly. Now, what I would ask you about, Dustin, is when you go to adjust the ride height, what are some of the things that you're looking for? I know there's a few different manufacturers out there that make them for our cars. Did you notice I'm sure you researched the different brands?
Yeah.
What made you want to buy the Megans versus the other brands? That's the one thing that always kind of was in my mind about. I don't.
All right, old school coilovers. Not old school, like 10 years ago coilovers, like the teen coilovers, right?
Yeah.
You can adjust the ride height,
Yeah.
but that affects. There was no real adjustment on the comfort. It was like the lower it is, the stiffer it is.
Yeah. Well,
You know?
what I mean
So
is
the
like
difference.
on the what I'm talking about is on the strut mount itself. You know, have the adjusting collar to adjust it up and down. I'm talking strictly about that mechanism. Quality wise,
Those fucking Megans were good.
that was the one thing that always worried me about coilovers.
You know,
Because I was,
I thought so
they
too.
give you those fucking gay wrenches that you gotta try to mess with.
C things and
exactly.
all that. Steph and I did them together. I don't think I did them here. I think I
No,
did them at my house.
no,
but
I never saw
they.
them.
Dude, they weren't bad. I mean,
Yeah.
it took me a few times to actually get the right height I wanted. At
No.
first, I put the rear too high. Then I got to take them off.
Once
spin
you
the
set
thing.
them, did you ever adjust them from there? Once you had it set?
I said I guessed where I wanted. Tighten everything up.
Yeah.
Then you put your fucking 19 millimeters back into the hub, and you lower the car down, and you wait a day to see how it makes it settle. And then it's like if it's too high, wheel off, back up again, take it all again, spin the thing a few times.
Yeah. Once you got it all set where you wanted it,
Yep.
you weren't the kind of guy that adjusted. See, so I would imagine some guys, like especially younger guys, they adjust their cars. They go to a meet,
summer,
lower it
winter,
down,
whatever. Now
for daily driving.
I put mine.
How hard do you think it would really be to do that? Like, was it one of those things where
consistently?
Yeah.
It's not simple. It's not simple.
Okay, yeah, because now you're telling me you need to disconnect.
I got
you
to take
actually
the whole thing off
disconnected the
basically
strut
again.
basically from the
from the hub, and then I got
that
to
was
spin
how you
around
had
the whole thing,
really,
and
see,
then
that
rebolt it back
sucks.
onto the hub.
That blows because basically you're telling you need an alignment when you do that.
Yeah, well, you should get alignment every time you change your struts or whatever. Yeah, well, it kind of sucked.
Like sucks for most people, but I just brought it to work.
Yeah. It's like the rears and the front, same thing. It's like you bolt them on to the hub.
Mm-hmm.
They bolt onto the hub with the two big
Sure.
19s, right? So
see,
that piece goes into the column. That's threaded. That whole thing that spins around. So if you want it lower, you spin it around. You bolt it all together. Put everything back on the ground.
Okay, that's different
versus
the ones that actually have the two. They're like rings that lock together. And you can adjust them differently.
No, you got to
take
it apart.
It's a different system. Okay,
Yeah, you gotta take it apart.
I got you. Okay.
Where that's kind of a hassle, but once you kind of put it to the right, once you get it to the right spot, boom, I had perfect gap in the front and the rear. It was like 2-finger gap.
Sure.
I had, I same tires as you. I had those fucking, big fucking sidewall wide tires. It was great for handling.
Absolutely.
I had a 2-finger gap front and rear. Perfect gap, so that was huge. And on the top of each one had the 32 levels of adjustment.
Yep.
One being stiffest, 32 softest. And I fucked with them at first. Fucked with them a lot.
Yep.
Until I found exactly where I wanted it to
sure.
be. And I had them on like 7, 8.
I would imagine guys mostly play with that more than anything. Once you get your ride height set,
you just want to get your softest and adjustment. Exactly.
For when you're driving different kinds of conditions.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
And it was, dude,
that's really cool.
Oh my god, they were great.
Yeah.
The fact that I could, because with the TRDs, my front was a little higher than the rear was lower, and it wasn't quite right. So boom, I made it perfect. I could make it just right. It was great. They were actually good. I would recommend them. I wish I didn't sell them. It's that part of my car, and parts went everywhere.
Yep.
The engine went to staff. This way, everyone went around. I wish that I saved those coilovers. I would use them again.
There you go.
Hi, Daddy.
How are you, sweetheart? Love you.
I love you too, Dada.
And on the podcast, we have
my daughter Andy.
We have Manny's daughter.
So okay. Let's we're talking about suspension and stuff. One thing I do want to throw in there is tires and how big of a difference, how much of a difference just tires can make. Especially for the younger guys, they're not gonna go out and spend $200 on a tire. You know what I mean?
Like I did, like you did.
Exactly.
Because that's too much money.
Oh,
What's your opinion on Falcons?
I'll be honest with you. I used 4 sets of Falcons when we first got the car. They're cheap. They
Come on.
They well, dude. It also matters which kind you get. I had the they were the 512s, whatever, blah blah blah.
The Z5.
Yeah, they're cheap. They're like $50-something a tire, or something like that. $70 a tire. They last for a little while. They have great, to me, good traction when they're new.
Excellent.
Yeah, for the first 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah, or 5, 6, 7, 10,000 miles. Once they get a handful of miles on them, though, the traction goes away real fast.
Dude, they suck.
And in the rain,
Ugh.
once they get a few thousand miles in the rain, they're horrible. I hate them. They actually made my car scary in the rain.
Mine too.
That sucks, dude.
I hated them in the rain. That was why I bought real good tires.
Not at first.
Being up here, it's a little bit different for guys that live in summer climates, guys that are out in Cali and Texas and stuff where it's hot all year round and you really don't have to worry about it getting cold. You can buy a much stickier compound that so you can get a lot more traction. I remember talking to a D-Man one time about tires, and I mentioned that the Pilot Sport AS like we have.
Yeah.
And he had mentioned that he got a set of them cheap and didn't like them. They didn't have enough traction for him.
What?
Well, dude, you got to think he's in a hot climate, so he
Yeah,
can
that's
run
true.
a lot stickier tire than we can.
That's all season.
They're all season, and that makes a huge difference. The compounds you buy, you can get a summer compound or an all-season compound,
all-season.
and it makes a big difference.
It's like for us, we need all season.
Yeah, because we have the cold seasons and the ice and snow. My wife drives the car year round. We had to get an all-season tire. But for you guys that are in warmer weather, you can get that stickier compound and get the advantage of more traction and take advantage of what the car can do naturally. The car's made to handle. Use it.
Yeah. So, we're talking a little suspension. How do you feel about sway bars?
Sway bars are great. They're from like
suspension techniques.
Yeah, they make the suspension technique ones.
Ones.
I want to say White Line also makes sway bars.
Yeah.
They're a little bit on the difficult side to install.
Yeah, it's not
Tiger Woods talked about them on the last episode.
Where they kind of suck putting them in. You gotta kind of drop the gas tank a little bit.
Yeah, to install a rear, you gotta at least remove the
straps.
Tiger Woods said, take the straps so you can give you a little bit of play in the gas tank.
This is not something I would do in my driveway.
No, I mean you can, but it's a hassle. It is but they do make a huge difference. For you guys, what I will tell you is if you don't want a stiff car, do not put sway bars in.
Yeah.
They make the car incredibly stiff.
I drove Def Jeff's car. Def Jeff had a 3S swap in it, right? He had teens, and
I remember driving his car as well.
Teens, and teens kind of bang a little bit anyway. They're a little harsh.
They're stiff, yeah.
He had fucking suspension techniques in the front and rear.
Yep.
And holy shit, his car.
It is very stiff.
Very
stiff.
Oh my god.
You know what makes
stiff as
what
shit,
made
dude.
Jeff's car worse though is I don't care what anybody says. Not having power steering in a Celica blows.
Yeah, it kind of sucked. Yeah, he didn't do his power steering.
Yeah, but just driving in a
that makes it.
Just driving down the road, it's like bam.
Bam, it makes it feel so much harder.
Every puddle, every bang, every bump in the road, you feel every bump. It's like damn. It was like.
But when he went around the potholes, you couldn't even feel it.
Yeah, it was like nice. You got G-forces.
When you're cornering with the sway bars, it definitely levels the chassis out a lot more and gives you a much more stable chassis.
Strut bars from the bottom, dude. They're fucking awesome.
They're really great.
Now, the one last thing I want to talk about with suspension, the poly bushings. The polyurethane bushings.
Yeah.
Those.
We basically went up the scale and did difficulty, man. That's a whole other world when you start getting into the poly bushings.
Poly bushings, that's something I wouldn't do in my driveway. The fronts you could probably get away with in your driveway, but you need some things for it. It's not simple to do.
They're not that easy.
You should have access with a few
things.
The fronts are easy to install. The rears are on a 1 to 10 scale. They're a 7, 8, maybe 8. They're really difficult.
Steph put the rears in her car. She has fronts and rears. She put the rears in her car. She did it at the dealership.
Yep.
She works at a Toyota. She works at a Toyota dealership. She had one of the techs, there with her. She, they helped. They used big fucking air guns. They got big ass compressors. It's a dealership, and it took them
huge torches.
How long did it take to do the rears in your car?
4 hours.
4 hours to do the rears at a dealership with fucking real tools, powered.
Into a 1 to 2 day job for a guy, and it's Because I remember doing it in the long bolt that goes through the bottom of the carrier.
Yeah, you change one of your A arms in the rear, not the A arm, but one of the control arms in the rear, the trailing arms.
You have to heat that up for literally
and you heat it up for like ever.
Well, I use the propane can because that's all I have. I don't have acetylene torches. What I will say though is a tip, an insider's tip. If you don't have a set of torches and you have one of those little propane tanks with the little self-ignite things, you can go get the MAP gas, MAPP. It comes in a yellow can. They sell it right alongside the propane cans, and it actually burns harder than propane, so it'll actually heat things a little bit faster. Just a little tip I figure guys were out there. But anyway, I used propane because that's what I had, and I must have sat underneath there for at least 20 to 25 minutes, just slowly heating that whole bottom piece up and working the bolt back and forth a little bit at a time. You'll feel it get stiff. You got to wait, heat it up, play with it back and forth, spray it with the PB blaster, let it burn. Oh, it's a couple
hours just to that one bolt.
Literally
a couple hours
on
one bolt.
Plus, you probably burn the bushing that's on the bottom of the
then like you burn the bushing because the bolt
takes
heats up
a lot of patience.
You have to do it.
That's one of the keys of when you're working on that rear suspension stuff. Patience is the key.
I tried doing my rears, my blue car. I tried doing it. I bought the rear things. I still have them at home.
Your car was really fucking rusty, though.
Yeah, that car is rusty.
For guys that are
in the Northeast, your car's rustier than mine.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, dude, I'm trying to get those bolts out. Air tools, air gun. I tried to do all that, and dude, I got like one bolt out. I couldn't get the rest out.
Yeah, no,
I just gave up. I was like,
air tools ain't gonna work, dude. And when you try to do that big long bolt through there, air tools ain't gonna get it out. It's gonna be done by hand, and it's gonna be done with heat, and it's gonna be done really slowly.
I mean, the fronts aren't too bad. We did those.
Yeah.
The front poly bushings, they make a huge difference. How the fronts feel in the car, I don't want to say they made the suspension a little bit softer. I'd say that it made them a little more comfortable. It didn't bang, or it kind of absorbs the bumps a little bit better and still gives that super quick dive into turns handling where it's like
much tighter.
That was responsive.
I remember driving your car after you did the fronts.
Yeah, we did the fronts here in your garage.
The biggest thing that I noticed is on turn in, when you first turn into the corner, especially on a car that has worn bushings, the car that has a lot of miles on the chassis. I noticed that, I like to take corners at a high speed and hold speed through the corners. And one thing that I noticed is that when you initially turn in, you'll get that initial turn and dive, and the car almost kind of
grabs.
You get that initial dive in, and then it kind of rebounds, and you gotta kind of adjust a little. With the poly bushings, you don't get that. You turn in and it dives in and it holds.
So think about that for the rear too. She's got that.
It makes a huge difference.
Oh my god!
It makes the car rotate so much smoother. For guys that do Auto X that have the quick 1-2 turns, it'll make a huge difference on how much the chassis kind of rotates for you and the way it rotates around the corners.
Now you put the same kind of bushings in Joey's MR2, right?
Yeah, all around. Yeah, they have any suspension bushings.
Yeah, same sort of thing.
Yeah, same thing.
And how does MR2 feel?
Huge difference. Oh my god, dude. It's the same thing, just it's an MR2, it's better.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's everything the Celica is, but better,
So we had done the rears in my car first.
Yeah, we did
before doing the fronts in my car, just to do the comparison.
I bet you make the ass rotate real good.
And it does the same like you were saying. You go into the corner and it starts to turn.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden the back, once that roll reaches the rear, it stabilizes the whole car.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's amazing.
It's like it's like a rear strut bar.
What I
10,
noticed was we put the Racing Beat rear end links in the beams.
Yep.
Same effect.
Yeah, same sort of effect.
Almost
very
the
similar.
Same effect.
Huh. Yes, I got to tell you, the Racing Beat rear end links.
Yeah, they make a big difference. Yeah, sure.
A lot cheaper.
So one of the downsides of doing this podcast now on the computer like this is now we can only do half-hour episodes at a time.
Yep.
But we'll still continue to do the hour-long podcast. Just going to be in 2 parts.
Yeah.
So we have 1 minute left, and we'll be back in a minute or so.
Yep. I think that kind of wraps up suspension for now. I don't really want to talk about much more. If anybody's got questions, we'll answer. We'll talk. We'll tell you how we feel about it. And later on tonight, we got. Might have some guests coming up.
Yep, we definitely got some guests coming up tonight.
So
we're gonna have a little bit more
next show or two. Yeah, we got a little more stuff happening. Be a little later in the evening. Get the Bruins game on. We're gonna be pretty fucking happy about things.
Yeah, we have a good podcast coming up for you guys. Stay tuned. Again, thank you guys for listening and downloading. And tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors. Is what I always say.
You're retarded.
Hey man, we're just trying to have some fun out here.
All right, that's it.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Adios, bitches.